Okay, let's get set to find the correlation coefficient of r equals negative 0.8 to one of these scatter plot graphs. Now, scatter plot is a graph with a bunch of dots on it on a number plane. Now, if we look at these patterns, we can start to establish the strength and the direction of the relationship between two variables. Now, let's have a look, take a closer look before we pick the correct scatter plot. Let's take a closer look at the numerical scale here for the correlation coefficient. Now, the scale, many of you have seen this before, goes from -1, where we have a perfect negative correlation, all the way to 0, which is no correlation. We can't have a straight line go through that. There's no line of best fit. All the way to a perfect positive correlation. It's got a positive gradient, and the dots are very close together. So whereabouts are we going to find r equals 0.8? Well, it's a negative, so we know it's going to be on this side because it's going to have a negative gradient. In other words, as one variable increases, the other one decreases. So it's a negative gradient, so it's negative 0.8. So it's going to be down across here. Negative 0.8 is about there, right? So it's a negative gradient, we know that. And the dots are going to be fairly close together, but obviously not perfectly close in a straight line. So there's going to be a strong linear relationship because the closer the dots, the stronger the relationship. And the stronger the relationship, the closer we get to the perfect relationship, which is a series of straight lines, whether it be negative or whether it be a perfect positive correlation. So being negative, again, we're down here somewhere, as I showed you earlier. So it looks like it's going to kind of have this kind of look. Negative slope, and the dots are fairly close together. So it's a pretty strong negative correlation. So let's see which one matches up. Let's look at the first one. We've got a negative correlation, yeah, except here they're kind of spread out. It kind of looks like more like this one here, maybe between these two guys. They're not close enough. They're too spread out. Over here we have a positive correlation, so that can't be it because it's going over that way. This one's going to be probably about there, about 0.3 out that way. Now here we've got a negative correlation, just like that, and they're pretty close together, so it looks pretty linear. It looks pretty close to that. We're using this as a guide, it's not exact. So we're looking at that, so it looks like this one will be negative 0.8. So the correct one is C. C right here, that's negative 0.8 correlation coefficient. Very quickly before I finish, let's take a quick look at D. D, they're pretty close together and they're going positive, so obviously it's not going to be that. They're going to look like it's about here. That looks like about 0.8 positive correlation. You can see the graph there. So going back to the correct answer, it's C, negative 0.8. Hope that helps. See you in the next video.